So first of all, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy PD schedule and joining us for Convocation. We hope that this week you had an opportunity to embrace new learning and to get yourselves ready to receive our students on Monday. Unfortunately, our mayor, who typically speaks at Convocation, wasn't able to make it today, but he sends his regards to everyone in Holyoke Public Schools. So today today you'll hear a little bit about my leadership story and my beliefs. You'll hear the HPS vision and equity commitments, our strategy, our return to school plan. You'll hear a little bit about my entry planning, and then we'll close out. So first of all, I'm Anthony Soto. I'm the superintendent for Holyoke Public Schools, and I've been working here for the last 5.5 years. I started my career here as a chief of finance and operations, which is leading the district's business office, facilities department, technology, transportation, food service. Before I worked here, I worked in Springfield Public Schools for 9 years, and I'm honored today to be here as your superintendent. I want to thank all of you for choosing the Holyoke Public Schools as your place of employment. There's never been a job for me that has been more fulfilling, more impactful, and more important. It's not the easiest place to work, and oftentimes our work here is thankless. But the work we do here is so rewarding because we're shaping the future for students that need us the most. I not only work here, I grew up in Holyoke. I was born and raised in this community. I went to Kirkland, Lawrence, Peck, and I graduated from Dean. But I didn't get to where I am without the support of my family and without the support and push of some very caring educators in the Holyoke Public School system. You can see my family here in the top left. My son AJ, when he was a baby, he's 9 years old now. My wife Melissa. We also have a dog that we bought during the pandemic. My son was nagging me and my wife for a brother and sister for the last 3 years. And during the pandemic, we felt really bad. He wasn't socializing with other kids. He wasn't in school, didn't have much opportunity to socialize with family either. He finally gave us an ultimatum and he said, I want a brother or I want a dog. So the next day we drove 2.5 hours and we picked up Brody, the French bulldog who we spoil and love so much. Without my family's support, I wouldn't be able to wake up every day and give my all in Holyoke. So I want to thank them for all the support. My grandparents, you can see down below. That's a picture of my grandfather and my grandmother at my graduation back in '99. Like many of our HPS students, my grandparents played a huge role in my life. My parents had my older brother when they were just 15 and 16 years old. And when that happens, our grandparents step up and play a bigger role. They always push me to make good choices and to treat people with respect. As far as my parents, they split up when I was 6 years old. You can see my dad here, that handsome fellow. He's worked in Holyoke for the last 35 years. He operating print shops. He worked at Mansur Holden, Marcus Printing, and most recently Hadley Printing in the Flats. My dad always pushed me to do my best. Something that always stuck with me since I was young, he always told me, Anthony, if you're gonna flip burgers for a living, make sure your burgers taste better than anyone else's. If you're gonna clean toilets for a living, make sure you have the cleanest toilets in the world. If you take pride in whatever it is that you're gonna do and try hard to be the best at it, you're gonna be successful. My mother, you can see her in the bottom right here. She dedicated her life to Holyoke families as well. She's been working for 35 years as a social worker in the welfare office. And she's also been a foster mother while I was growing up and still is. We've had over 200 foster children go through our home. and she's helped over 100 of them graduate from Holyoke Public Schools. Here you can see her in this picture with my foster sister, Ariana. That was this year's Holyoke High School graduation. It was my first time ever giving a speech. So it was a proud moment in many ways for my mother. As a single mom, my mother did everything she could to push me as hard as it was holding it down in the house and raising me and my brother. And we had 11 foster kids all under the same roof when I was in middle and high school. One way she would entice me was she would always tell me, if you get good grades, I'll get you a pair of sneakers and we'll go to the pescaderia on Main Street and pick up some boquitas. So I unfortunately now have a really bad sneaker habit, and I've eaten way too many boquitas in my life. You can see how skinny I was in high school and what I look like right now. But what you don't see in this picture is all the people, all the dedicated educators that also played a big role in shaping my future and encouraging me to be my best self. As I mentioned earlier, I have a little brother. We grew up in the same house with the same parents. My brother never made it past 8th grade. He didn't get to step foot in a high school before. My mother did the best that she could, but unfortunately, my brother didn't get enough support in Holyoke Public Schools like I did. I was lucky to have some people like Mr. Murphy, my middle school science teacher, Mr. McGrath, my high school math teacher and basketball coach, Mr. Dubelo, my gym teacher, who brought me to my first ever Celtics game, Mr. and Mrs. Sorelli, my shop teachers, Mrs. Warko, my favorite AP, and Mrs. Lyons, my high school counselor, who forced me to sit down one day and fill out college applications when I was slacking off my senior year. These are all people that played a huge role and that connected with me on a personal level, and they pushed me to just be better. They didn't baby me. I always felt like I needed to do good in school because I was letting them down. They saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. I want to tell you a quick story about one of these individuals and a situation that changed the trajectory of my life. His name was Mr. Murphy. He was my 8th grade science and French teacher. My 8th grade year, he found out that I chose Dean as my high school of choice. And he was trying to convince me, Anthony, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. You should be going to Holyoke High. Dean's not the right school for you. You're college material. You deserve better. And I wanted to follow in my brother and my father's footsteps. I wanted to learn a trade and go to school, to go to Dean. So he even went as far as to call my mother, and he tried to convince my mother that I was making this huge mistake. One day I got home and my mom pulled me aside. She said, "Mira, te llamó un tipo ahí, Mr. Murphy, yo no sé qué, que algo de la Holyoke High o la Dean." And basically she told me that Mr. Murphy had called her and tried to convince her to change my mind. And she told him, with all due respect, Mr. Murphy, my son's a grown man and he can make his own decisions. That was when I was in 8th grade. So on the last day of school, Mr. Murphy pulled me and Bernice Rodriguez out to the hallway. And he said, "Look, I really tried hard to convince your parents that you were making a huge mistake, and I couldn't convince them. But let me tell you one thing, I better pick up the newspaper in 4 years, and I better see both of you at the top of your class." And that's all the push that I needed. I couldn't figure out why this guy even cared about what I was doing, why he even went as far as to call my mom, but that stuck with me forever. And it gave me a huge lesson in life that when I make a decision, to stick with it and to do the best I possibly can. I haven't seen Mr. Murphy since that day. I'm looking forward to one day running into him. I've told this story a few times, but it was really impactful in my life that this guy cared about me enough to really have a vested interest in some big decisions that I was making. As your superintendent, I have 4 core beliefs that guide me every day in this work. First and foremost is that students are first and foremost. Holyoke Public Schools exist to provide an excellent education for every student. Without our students, Holyoke Public Schools doesn't exist. Therefore, decisions must be made by putting students at the center. In some cases, decisions that I make might not be popular amongst adults, but please understand that every decision that I have to make, I lead with the question, how is this decision going to impact our students? Second, every child can and will learn. Although there are many factors that influence a child's readiness and success in school, it is our responsibility to meet every child's unique needs so that they can be successful in school and in life. Labels that can sometimes be considered a weakness are in fact a strength. A student who's an English learner is not just learning the English language. He's also somebody that knows another language, and that's awesome. We truly need to believe in our students, create trust, and create an environment that makes them feel valued. And if we do that, they'll be ready to learn and they'll learn. One of the worst things that we can do is cry, ay bendito, pobrecito, or oh these poor babies, they have it so hard at home. No, we have to be understanding of what they're going through at home, but we also have to understand that they're smart and they need to be pushed to learn at a high level. We can't blame parents. We can't blame conditions at home for being the reason that they can't learn. That's just a way for us to not take accountability for our role in their educational development. You know, I mentioned earlier that we had over 200 foster kids go through our home. I had a brother named Polaco who had gone through unimaginable things as in his childhood. He went from foster home to foster home. He didn't have a father, didn't know who his dad was. His mother was a drug addict. And he had every reason in the book to fail. But Polaco went on to graduate college and is one of the kindest, hardest working individuals that I've ever met in my entire life. And it's because of the experience that he had and the dedicated staff that wrapped their arms around him at HPS. Third, school is more than just about academics. Of course, we want what is taught in the classroom to be exciting and engaging, yet so often students want to come to school for much more than reading and math. They come to school to be with their peers, to play a game, to join a club, to get a good meal, to feel safe, and to be exposed to new worlds. They rely on our school communities to give them the right amount of love and push to be the best they possibly can. Lastly, it takes a village. We can't do this work alone, but every one of us needs to do our part. Families matter, teachers matter, coaches matter, custodians matter, support staff matter, mentors matter, community organizations, peers. We each play an important role in supporting our students through school and beyond graduation. None of us can do this alone, so let's work together. You know, I was debating getting a guest speaker to come in this year to speak at Convocation, and I thought it was more appropriate to hear from some of our very own. So I was able to get a student, a parent, and one of our very own teachers to prepare a short video and address everyone at Convocation.
Holyoke Public Schools play a huge role in my success today. As a former district employee and Holyoke Public School parent, HPS have been part of my daughter's success and progress as well as mine. In 2010, I had the opportunity to start working at Kelly School, which was like my home for 8 years. There, the school staff became my family. I remember my coworker Samantha Garcia helping me to practice my English because I was ashamed to speak English in front of people. And my principal, Jackie Glasheen, always supporting me and always ready to help me achieve success. In 2012, my daughter, Natalia, was born. In 2014, she was diagnosed with autism, and 2 years after, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Since day one, I did not hesitate to choose Holyoke Public School for my daughter. Natalia started a preschool at Metcalf School. There, the school principal, Amy Burke, since day one, welcomed us with a lot of dedication and love, Metcalf School has been the best thing that has happened to Natalia and me as a mother, because the amount of support and progress is immense. The principal, the teachers, and her nurse have been working with me and my daughter always, and I'm very grateful for that. This is why I choose Holyoke Public Schools, and I will do it again with no doubt. The teachers and parents at Metcalf are awesome.
So like my aunt and my cousin really play a good part in it, because through my bad times, I've been helped by them. You know, they pushed me forward to do better, and it's helped my education and my behavioral life in school. Miss O'Brien from Sullivan, she was really good. She helped me, kind of simplified stuff for me that were hard when I was in school, especially with math and stuff. So I owe her things from me. I think it's important because it like builds your self-worth and how you feel about yourself, and like just like your worth ethic and stuff. It just makes you better. A lot of things about like high school and stuff, and like experience and like opportunities you can take and stuff. So I'm excited to take those experiences and opportunities and make something out of it.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome back veteran staff of the Holyoke Public Schools and extend a warm welcome to our new staff members. My name is Peter McAndrew. I am a veteran of many years in the Holyoke Public School system, currently a teacher at Holyoke High School and president of the Holyoke Teachers Association. The work we engage in is challenging and at the same time tremendously rewarding. Reflecting on my own experience, I realized that as a young person, I was working in a system that allowed me to look forward, live my life, and raise a family, as there was always someone there, a fellow staff member, a principal, a custodian, or a clerk that was there to support me as a young educator. That's Holyoke. Welcome. The Holyoke Teachers Association, Holyoke Paraprofessionals Association, and the Holyoke Educators Association all continue to strive to create a positive work-life balance for all staff members through contract negotiations. We are here to support you. Last year, we were blindsided by the pandemic. What became immediately evident in bi-weekly meetings of the Holyoke Teachers Association was that the staff of the Holyoke Public Schools was going to support our students unconditionally. Pre-K through 12, the STEM Academy, and the Opportunity Academy, all staff went the extra yard to ensure that students had access to the best possible education and support. Like no other time in my experience have staff members so completely engaged families and students, quickly adapting to technology that allowed for a bridge between home and school. Chromebooks delivered, troubleshooting tech issues, phone calls, wrong numbers, disconnected numbers, text messages, emails, Zoom calls, all done often at the convenience of students and families after school hours. When students and families needed us the most, we were there to support them. Holyoke is a community rich in diversity, truly a unique community. Holyoke, like other communities, has its challenges that we will continue to face together. The Holyoke Teachers Association and the Holyoke Paraprofessionals Association welcomes all to the 2021-2022 school year and look forward to seeing you all in person soon. Thank you for your time. Peace.
Talk about getting through challenges together, huh? How about this tech? In Holyoke, we have a vision in Holyoke, and that's a pathway for every student. Every student is unique, and our job is to prepare them to be the best version of themselves. Every student has a place in society, whether they choose the arts, teaching, the military, college, or career. We want to make sure that the experiences they get here in Holyoke create the pathway that's going to meet their individual needs. We also want our students to graduate with an additional credential. That could be a seal of biliteracy, a vocational certificate, or college credits before they even get to college. And by the time our students graduate, we want them to be effective communicators, critical thinkers, engaged and productive community members, and mindful individuals. One of our most important commitments is to equity. Over the last 2 years, we've been working on refining these commitments, and they are: we ensure that the students and families and staff who need the most get the most. We incorporate the voices of those impacted, especially those who have not been heard historically. We promote access and inclusion for all students, families, staff, especially those who are not being heard. We reflect and embrace the greater diversity of our students and families, and we work to be an anti-racist, inclusive, and culturally responsive community. You know, since 2015, when we went into receivership, the district experienced a number of accomplishments. We've doubled pre-K access programming. We had a 10-point increase to our graduation rate, an 85% increase in access to early college programming. We now have 26% of our teachers are teachers of color, where that's up from 11%. We've invested $17 million into our facilities. We've decreased school suspensions and we decreased chronic absenteeism. And then the pandemic hit. Before we get into our learning acceleration plan and our district strategy, I wanted to show you why it's so important for us to return to in-person learning. You can see here that before the pandemic, our average attendance was 92%. And during remote learning, it went all the way down to 86%, which means less of our students are showing up to school every day. Our chronic absenteeism went from 23% all the way up to 39%. That means that 39% of our students, almost half, missed 18 or more days of school last year. Our high school on track data, which tracks our 9th and 10th graders who are on track to graduate, went from 74% to 63% during the pandemic. And more of our high school students experience a loss of credits. So it went from 5 all the way up to 8 during the pandemic. When you look at our reading data, we can see that in grades K to 8, only 38 and 20% of our students are meeting or exceeding expectations for baseline proficiency compared to 62 and 23 before the pandemic. And we could also see that more of our students are requiring urgent reading intervention than ever before. In math, it's the same story. You can see that in grades 1 through 8, 18% of our students are meeting or exceeding expectations for our baseline proficiency, and compared to 34% before the pandemic. And we also see in math that more students are requiring urgent intervention. Now, we understand that these past few years has been some of the toughest years for our students and our families. Some of our students have lost family members, some have lost loved ones, some have experienced homelessness or loss of employment. Some have experienced greater anxiety or stress. And many of them, as we just seen, experienced a greater gap in accessing grade level content. We can't simply meet students where they are, because simply meeting students where they are is a disservice to them. We need to meet them where they are and create a bridge that gets them to where they need to be, which is accessing rigorous grade level content. Our learning acceleration plan serves as a roadmap to how we're going to get there. Our focus is threefold and cuts across 4 phases. This isn't something that's going to happen in 1 year. This is going to be a multi-year approach. First, we need to ensure that every child feels a strong sense of belonging and is supported as part of their school culture. This includes strengthening communication and partnerships with families and really getting to know our students. Second, we have to continually monitor student understanding of grade level content by utilizing academic assessment data during weekly data meetings at the school level. Our school leaders and educators are going to review data weekly that's going to inform their planning. And at the district level, we're going to review data 4 to 5 times throughout the year and monitor what supports are needed for school leaders and educators. Lastly, we need to continue to focus on providing 100% of our students with strong standards-based instruction, and appropriate tiered supports for those that need it. Seeking excellence through equity, the district has 4 strategic priorities to organize our annual planning. We continue to work towards those 4 strategic priorities, which are teaching and learning, supporting the whole child, family and community engagement, and shared learning and leadership. Under each strategic priority is our overarching goals. For teaching and learning, we want to dramatically increase grade level reading, math, and science proficiency for all of our students. For supporting the whole child, we need to meet academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs through a system of tiered supports. For family and community engagement, we want to empower and equip our families to partner with schools to meet their children's academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs. And under shared learning and leadership, we need to continually grow and develop our educators and staff in order to achieve exceptional results for all of our students. Each year, our district leadership team creates annual plans that align to those goals. I'm not going to mention all of them in every priority, but under teaching and learning, these are all the plans that we put together for the upcoming year. We want to strengthen the implementation of instructional strategies to support multilingual learners. If you look at all of our data throughout receivership, our English language learners haven't made the right growth, and we need to do better in that area. We are going to be completing a literacy audit to inform the creation of a 3-year literacy improvement plan. We're going to plan and support the implementation of pre-K to 2 literacy-based science curriculum. We're going to increase the number of pre-K to 8 schools that have access to and implement ST Math. We're going to provide and administer interim assessments aligned to the curriculum, and we're going to develop a process and support school leaders to monitor core and intervention curriculum implementation. Under supporting the whole child, we're going to support principals in the implementation of student supports, which includes implementation of new SEL curriculum for our schools. We're going to train and support implementation of a systematic process for IEP development, and we're going to continue to plan towards distinct elementary and middle schools. Under family and community engagement, we need to strengthen our school councils to engage families as active partners in their child's learning. And we're going to continue to strengthen our translation and interpretation services. Under shared learning and leadership, we're going to develop school leaders to implement systems for observation and feedback and weekly data meetings with classroom teachers. And we're also going to support educators to earn and maintain appropriate licensure or endorsement. Our return to school plan. We developed a return to school plan. It was communicated last week. Like everything, we developed it with a student first mindset. And the goal is to maximize uninterrupted learning for all students in person. Look, it's important that we follow this plan. If we follow this plan, we'll make sure we're doing the best that we can to keep each other safe and to keep kids in person 5 days a week. That includes masking for all buildings and on buses. That includes encouraging people that are eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine. We're going to be offering regular COVID-19 testing throughout the week. We're encouraging physical distancing as much as possible. We've invested a lot of money in our ventilation systems to make sure that we have clean air. We're going to cohort students as much as we can. And this is really important, staying home when we're sick. We're asking our families to keep their kids home when sick, and we're asking staff to stay home when they're sick. And we're going to continue to teach our students to participate in healthy practices like hand washing and regular hand washing and sanitizing. For my entry plan, I'm going to be embarking on a listening and learning journey over the next 5 months. I'm going to be in classrooms. I'm going to hold a ton of meetings with staff, with students, people in the community. And this is going to inform the revision of our strategic priorities, our objectives, and our goals. And hopefully we can develop a vision and a strategic plan that's inclusive of all of your feedback, and that we can guide our work for the next 3 to 5 years. You can see here that the planning phase is now through the end of October, where I'll share my official draft of the entry plan and conduct regular meetings and interviews through the end of December. And sometime in February, we'll develop a report on our entry plan findings, and we'll share that out with the community. These findings are going to be what we use to guide our development or our refining of our district strategy. And these are the questions that I'm going to be asking. So I'm asking everyone, please fill out a survey. Sam's going to be sending out the survey soon. And the questions that I'm asking are, what are our strengths and successes of our school districts? What are the challenges and areas of growth within our school district? How do we ensure that every graduate is prepared for college and career success? And aligned to It Takes a Village, how can we work better together to support our students' success? And lastly, what would you like to see in me as your superintendent? So I want to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you again for all of your hard work and your dedication. I look forward to connecting with all of you more throughout the year. The time's finally here. I've walked through all of the facilities. They're ready. We're ready. You're ready. Let's welcome back our students on Monday, and let's have an awesome year.
Hi, I'm Valerie Anir, Chief Instructional Officer for the Holyoke Public Schools. I just wanted to say welcome to the new school year. We are so excited that we all get to work and teach and learn in person this year. I look forward to seeing you in your classrooms very soon.
Welcome back to Holyoke.
Bienvenidos a la regresa de la escuela. Have a great year.
Yeah.
Hey Team HPS, Glasheen here, welcoming you to the 21-22 school year. Holyoke is an awesome place to learn, to live, and to grow. Thank you for joining this journey with our students. Looking forward to working with you this year.
Hello, Holyoke Public Schools. Welcome back to the new school year. Thank you so much for your continued dedication to our students and all the hard work you're doing. Best of luck with the new school year. And as always, please let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Have a great year.
¡Sí se puede!
Hello everyone, my name is Marianne Courier and I'm the Chief of Pupil Services for the Holyoke Public Schools. I am so happy to be welcoming all of you back. I hope you have a wonderful school year. Please remember to take everything one day at a time, look out for one another, support one another, and take care of yourselves. We are all in this together. Have a great year and welcome back.
Bienvenidos empleados de las escuelas públicas de Holyoke. We're so excited to see everyone in person and hope you have a great school year.
Welcome back from the FACE team. Welcome back from the math department.
Welcome back from the data and finance team.
Hello everyone, the Finance Department welcomes you back to a safe and healthy year.
Hello everybody and welcome back from the Payroll Department.
Welcome back from the HR team. Woo! Welcome back educators from the Extended Learning Department.
Welcome back from the English Learners Department. Stay safe.
Welcome back from the Transportation Department and Latchkey.
Keep safe. Have a great year.
Welcome back from the People Services Department. Everybody stay safe and wear your masks.
Bienvenidos de parte del
Departamento de Servicios al Estudiante, por favor manténgase con sus mascarillas puestas y cuídese. Nos vemos pronto.
Welcome back from the Enrollment Center.
Welcome back from Batman. Mask on.
Hi.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our convocation for school year 21-22. We will be sending out the survey shortly. Please provide your feedback there. It's critical for the improvement of our students for this district. And have a great school year. Bye, everyone.